John.
Supposed to be here, right?
Bruce, are you on the line? Okay, Ruth is here. John Usal, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Hey.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to start. Yeah. Okay. All right, I'm going to start. Yeah. This is all new stuff?
PowerPoint presentation.
What is it new?
Oh, okay, thank you.
As of, Good morning, everyone. My name is Virginia Harger, Chairperson of the Shelton Planning and Zoning Commission. Today is Wednesday, August 12th, and a special meeting of the Shelton Planning and Zoning Commission is hereby called to order. This meeting is categorized as a special meeting, as it's being held at a time other than when our regular meeting was to take place. Would everyone present in the auditorium please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? And I invite all who are participating remotely to do the same. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. A couple of points before continuing with this morning's agenda. This is the Commission's 13th meeting being done via a live streaming process. Commissioners participating in person and remotely will be able to make comments throughout the meeting so that we are not all talking across each other, and our recording secretary is clear as to who is speaking. Commissioners are asked to please say Madam Chair and then your name. As soon as the chair recognizes you, you are free to speak. Please be aware that you may hear an echo. Commissioners participating remotely are asked to be aware and remember that microphones on computers will pick up ambient sounds, which will be heard in the auditorium throughout the PA system, including movement of papers, phones ringing, and conversations if others are in the room. So if at all possible and you have the ability to do so, please mute the audio on the computer. We will continue with our agenda, beginning with our roll call. When your name is called, please verbally indicate you're present, and I'll begin with those who are participating remotely. Commissioner Parkins?
Present.
Alternate Commissioner Usal?
Present.
Mr. Canico, our consultant?
Present.
Continuing with those who are participating in the auditorium, I'm Commissioner Harger. Commissioner Kelly.
Present.
Commissioner Mato. Our Planning and Zoning Administrator, Mr. Rossetti. Our Assistant Administrator and CEO, Mr. O'Neill. Our Downtown Projects Coordinator, Mr. Nappi. And our Recording Secretary, Sarah Vernatos.
Here.
For the record, Commissioner Ticky is not able to participate in today's meeting, and alternate Commissioner Usal will be seated in his place. Neither Commissioner Radomski or alternate Commissioner Laskos were available to participate in today's meeting, but a quorum does exist, so the meeting can take place. And we'll begin with agenda item 4, applications for a certificate of zoning compliance. First one is application 4387, Molly Shea, 346 Quorum Avenue, for a sign. Is the applicant present?
Here.
Okay, you're participating by phone?
Yeah.
Okay, and this is Molly Shea?
Yeah.
Okay, Molly, would you explain, please, what you'd like to do?
I am opening a art studio downtown on 346 Quorum Ave. I am looking to hang a sign. It has like a steel bar, and it's just going to be a little wood sign that says the Bear Slate with our phone number.
Okay, that's considered in the category of a blade sign. Just so that everybody understands, the storefront, if you were heading down Corn Avenue from the Echo Hills Firehouse, you went by the big steps, the auto body shop, we have a couple of bars, and we have a couple of storefronts. This is the last storefront, right before the exit driveway from the Walgreens. I noticed over the last 6 months to a year, that particular building has been, had some work done on it. The exterior looks a lot better than it does. It looks like there have been interior renovations on that particular first floor especially, because I got familiar with it a few years ago. That was like a secondhand shop. So that's great to hear that you'd like to open a business there. My concern is, in my particular case, is that it's chosen to go with a blade sign that sticks out from the storefront fascia above the doorway, and why you chose that particular sign versus having one that is parallel to the area above the doorway. I thought the visibility, that would be a lot more visible than a blade sign. So could you explain that a bit?
I chose to go with that sign because those are some of the example of signs we're going to be making in the studio as well. So for them to get a general idea from the outside what it could look like, what they would want maybe at their house, you know, with like their number and street address or something along those lines. But it's not anything that is set in stone, and I'm fine to change to make it parallel to go above. It was just an idea.
Okay, yeah, I can understand your point in doing that. I would think that if you have the wall space inside, you could present a number of those instead of just one. Let me just ask Commissioner Armato. Commissioner Armato, was this reviewed in the sign subcommittee?
No, we did not.
Okay.
I mentioned that phone number. Talking about
Commissioner Armato was saying,
just to mention, we don't usually phone number, not.
right, exactly. Yeah, I would, on the sample that they gave, I don't see a phone number, or what are you seeing here? So, the Bear Slate, it's this one. So, Molly, you would be open to coming back to the commission with a revised
Yeah,
proposal?
Yeah.
Okay. How does the rest of the commission feel about that? Anybody participating remotely? Commissioner Usell, Commissioner Perkins?
Madam Chair, I do have a couple questions.
Go right
First of all,
ahead.
has the business been approved by planning and zoning?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. O'Neill, when was the date of the approval?
The reason I ask that is you may recall, Madam Chair, a few years ago, I believe this was turned into a residential, from commercial to residential. And I believe a few years ago, someone came before the commission and wanted to turn it back into commercial, and they were denied.
All right, Mr. O'Neill, are you aware of the history of this property?
I was not aware of that part of the history. Going by the current zoning map, it was zoned as free. So the business occupancy was approved on July 14th.
Okay, so seeing that it is something that it sounds like we're going to be moving towards tabling, that would give staff a chance to verify exactly what Commissioner Parkins is bringing up as to what has been approved for occupancy at that particular location. Is there anything else, Commissioner Perkins?
Nope, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Usell,
Nothing to add at this time.
do you have any? Okay, thank you. Commissioner Kelly?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. Commissioner Amato? You're good? Okay. All right. What's the commission's President, is there a motion to table or to investigate the correct zoning for this and to give the applicant a chance to come back with a plan if the zoning does permit them to have a commercial occupancy?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to do that.
Come on.
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
Okay, there's a motion to table by Commissioner Kelly. Is there a second?
I'll second Commissioner Perkins.
Okay, and Commissioner Parks is seconding, and Commissioner Amato, you said you had a question?
Right, so if we table the commercial, the staff could go ahead and sort that out and let her proceed with her business plans without it coming back here.
And they should come back to us, and seeing that we meet so often, and our meeting, we have one coming up in the next couple weeks, that we could vote to add it to the agenda. I think we could process this in a timely manner and not hold her back from her plans. Mr. O'Neill, did you want to say anything?
No, I just double checked the building zone map, and it does look like it's in the CA3 commercial zone.
Right, so Commissioner Parkins' point was, had this been changed historically, and does that
But you
change?
can certainly research that.
Yeah, do a little research on that. All right,
Yeah,
so there is
there was an application to change it to residential. And so that application, I believe, was approved. And then someone else came back and said they wanted to change it back to commercial, and I believe they were denied, but, we'll let Josh, go through the records and determine that.
Right.
I just
Okay,
wouldn't want
Sonia will check that out.
I wouldn't want the person who was denied to come back and say, why did you deny me, but you're approving this one.
Absolutely. I think part of the review process by Mr. O'Neill would mean that he would have to have some kind of communication with our corporation counsel as well to confirm everything. So, and Commissioner Amato, do you have any further questions or your?
No, I just, got the held up.
Yep, absolutely. I agree with you. So, all right, there's a motion on the table made by Commissioner Kelly, seconded by Commissioner Parkins to table this application.
You can barely
Roll
hear.
call vote. Commissioner Kelly?
Aye.
Aye for the tabling. Commissioner Parkins?
They're voting.
Aye.
Okay. Commissioner Amato?
Aye.
Commissioner Yuso?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So we will hear back as to the status of this at a future meeting. So, Molly, Mr. O'Neill will be in touch with you, and he'll take it from there. Okay, thank you very much, and we do wish you good luck with the way that, for everything in the future.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is there a question from somebody who's participating remotely?
No.
All right, this is application 4318, which is Marco Signs, 494 Birchwood Avenue, for a sign, and this is to install a replacement sign at that location where Sprint had been the business occupant, and now T-Mobile would be the business occupant. Mr. O'Neill, you got any comments?
That is correct. It's just a replacement wall sign, just about the same size as the spring one that was up, internally illuminated with the T-Mobile logo. This does not include a sign on the lot that'll be handled by either the owners of the property, not the applicant.
And they would still need to
Correct.
submit an application for that. So this is just for the sign above the doorway entrance.
Correct.
Okay? Any commissioners remotely have any questions on this particular application?
No.
This is Commissioner Usall. This is going to be backlit with LED lights, correct?
Yes, that is correct. This is Mark
thank
Owen from Marco Signs.
Correct. Themselves for the record, please. You need to confirm through the chair.
I didn't hear you.
Is there someone here from the sign company participating remotely? If so, you need to identify yourself.
Yes, I'm here to represent it. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Your name, sir?
Mark Cohen.
Very good, that came through. All right, and could you just explain to the commissioner that has a question as to how this particular sign would be lit?
It's lit internally by LED modules that are inside the letters.
Very good. Industry, Commissioner Uso, do you have any further comments, questions, or concerns?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Okay, I just want to call attention to the commissioners that the diagrams that were present online in the application show the rackway, how it's mounted, and the LED channels. Does the applicant have anything further to add to this, to these comments?
No, I think the drawings show that the signs are relatively the same size, within a few inches.
Very good. All right, Commissioner Amato, do you have any questions? No. Okay, Commissioner Kelly?
No.
All right, thank you. Is there any commissioner who would like to make a motion on this particular application?
Make a motion.
There's a motion to approve from Commissioner Amato. Is there a second?
Second.
I'll second it.
From Commissioner Kelly. Okay. Commissioner Kelly jumped in on that. Commissioner Uso, sorry, I'm just dealing with the delay in the audio. So I'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Kelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins?
Aye.
Commissioner Amato? Aye. Commissioner Uso?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion's passed 5-0.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, and you're very welcome, sir. And just being, Mr. O'Neill will be in touch with you on how to proceed.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Next on the agenda is application 4446, 917 Avenue, Bianca Signs, for a sign. This is the building that is past the VCA Hospital on Bridgeport Avenue and a new L-shaped commercial plaza that Mr. Cinto just erected, and before the apartments that are up on the hill.
Saw you walking last night, Mark.
Whoever
Hello?
made a comment, could you repeat that? Go
Yeah,
right
no.
ahead.
No, I'm just saying that's 4446 application number. Is that
Yes,
correct?
that is explaining the location of the sign is. Who's speaking, please?
This is Mike from Bianca Sign.
Very good. So, from my understanding, is this a new occupant to take up space in that particular office building?
That's correct.
Okay. Mr. O'Neill, this is
That is correct. I don't have the exact date for the business occupancy. This is just for the sign, but it has.
okay, the business occupancy has been approved previously by staff, and we have two options. And what you're asking for is just a sign that would go on the corner of the building or inside where the pillar, the column is.
Well, do you have the pictures that I sent along of the existing letters on the wall?
Yes, the ones that say IGI graphics.
Right. Yeah, they want to take those letters off. And obviously, once they take those letters off, there's going to be quite a few holes left in the wall. So they want to put the smaller metal sign to cover that area that's going to have all the holes in it. And that would be option A. Well, all that's going to do is cover the wall, so when people walk up to the door, they'll know which door to enter. It'll cover all the holes. Then you have option.
Do you have any knowledge what the day program drop-off means?
what it means. I think, I
Yeah.
mean, they have like satellite offices that we do work for. I think it's people who go there for like a day program, usually elderly people, and they get dropped off in the morning and picked up, right before 4 or 5 o'clock at night. They have a couple offices in Newington. That's what they do there. It's like a day program. Not like they have activities for elderly people who maybe can't stay home by themselves.
Mr. O'Neill, do you have any knowledge of the specifics for this particular,
Not off the top of my head, no. But I can certainly get that information.
Yeah, my concern is, do we need to have that second line on whatever version, option of the sign that we go with? Do we need to really have it? Does it really need to say day program, training center? I can see perhaps that there would be something that points out where the drop-off is, but I don't know about the rest. Commissioner Marlowe, did this come to you for the sign committee?
No, it didn't, and it sounds like this is not just for senior operation, senior daycare, more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Point, but the ones where they probably know what they're going there for,
Mm-hmm.
just pointing out where the drop-off is.
Yeah, this particular entrance, I went personally yesterday to look at it, is the right, halfway back on the right side of the building. So, this isn't, if this isn't something for somebody to, as they're driving up Richford Avenue and they see this and say, oh, let's go in there. This is a specific location for a specific group of people. So I don't know if that sign has to be that detailed. What does the rest of the commission feel about this? Anybody? Commissioner Parkins, Commissioner Uso, do you have any comments?
So again, I question that the business has been approved, and we don't know what the business.
Mr. O'Neill indicated that it had been approved. When Josh, you have on that? Okay. It had been last month, 2 months ago?
Yeah, relatively recent, but not very.
Okay, because this is dated August 1st. So, all right, Mr. O'Neill will confirm that. Commissioner Kelly, do you have any comments?
No, they have also a residential daycare center, where, it's not the traffic virus, of course, and there's a sign on there that says the same thing.
Uh-huh. So this is a duplicate of that particular sign?
Yeah.
Okay, so is that something you just found on the internet? Is that something you just found on the internet?
No, I don't think so. You'd have to drive by and see.
No, but I mean, your knowledge of that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so,
I have no problem with that, sir.
okay, does any commissioner feel that there should be any particular change to the wording on the sign?
Are you talking to me? I can't really hear you.
No.
No? Okay. I'm just saying I can get...
Chairwoman, what I'm questioning is they're obviously looking to hide the holes that are in the wall. But this is not just an adult daycare in terms of, senior citizens. I believe it's, for those that are challenged physically, et cetera. So I'm just not sure that you're going to get out of your car and go up to the door and then find out that you've got to go around. So that would be my only concern, is that are we aware of the requirements of the business in terms of the signage?
I think we wanted to leave the drop-off direction, that's what we were talking about.
Well, sometimes
Yeah,
it's difficult.
Commissioner Marlowe. Say that again, Mr. Warren?
You don't want people to get out of their car or, get into a wheelchair or however they get up to the door and then find out that they've got to go around. Or is the door right there? I'm not familiar with the building. I mean, I know where the building is.
I have no problem leaving that last line up there at all. It's the line that is above it that says Day Program, Human Resources Training Center. So, but,
So there's a door, there's obviously a door there, and then you gotta go around the corner for a day program drop-off? That's my only question.
yeah, and if you were in your car and you drove around the building, halfway down is an entrance, and I believe that's what they're directing themselves to. And I'm just wondering why there isn't a sign that has been applied for to identify that particular entrance. So.
My point, yes, thank you.
Mhm. All right, so is this something that the commission feels comfortable with moving on with some amendments to their options and whichever option we go along with, or do we need more information on this particular application and such as more information on what sign they would want for over the drop-off entrance? Commissioner Kelly, how do you want to proceed?
Well, I thought the entrance was right there. If the entrance is another place, then I think we should look it over.
It looks like there's two entrances, one for maybe the business program and one for the drop-off area.
It should be there.
Yeah. So, for the gentleman that's representing the applicant from the signage, is there anything that you could share with us?
As far as
to their
that side
operations?
entrance?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how
That
far away it is.
actual
I just don't know how far it is away from the main entrance.
But the entrance that is by the column, is that an actual entrance for users of this program and staff to use for administrative purposes, for instance?
Yeah, I guess that's where they enter. The other one, which is the day program, that would be down the side of the building a ways. I don't know how far away it is. I guess they just don't want to have people getting dropped off if they need to continue. I mean, the girls said there's going to be confusion in the beginning just because, you know, people are unfamiliar with everything. Slowly they're going to learn, you know, where they need to go. I mean, so she's trying to make the sign as clear as she can.
We have a lot of questions that need to be answered. I would like to request that this particular application be tabled and staff make sure that the applicant, a representative from this organization, be present at a future meeting to explain exactly what the operations of the particular applicant, what they do, and to address the concerns that we have as to entrances and signage. I don't want to put the gentleman from Bianca Signs in the position of having to explain what his client does. So, is there a motion to table? Go ahead, Commissioner Miles.
Just to discuss two different sides.
Right, and that's just it. I think until we get a clarification on exactly.
Something where we can see how that.
Yeah, well,
Does not help.
right, this is the previous, and this is how it looks from a close-up from the parking lot, from the cars. So is there a motion to table?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, there's a motion to table from Commissioner Kelly. Is there a second?
I'll second this, Commissioner Usall.
Madam Chair,
Okay, Commissioner Hughes?
I just want for point of
Go ahead,
clarification.
Commissioner Parker.
I don't have any issue with the signage and the direction to drop off, but as I said, if people have already gotten out of the car and saved the wheelchair, you don't want them going up to the front of the building and realizing they have to go to the side. Is there a sidewalk there, or are they going to be like in a roadway going to the side of the building? That's my concern.
Yeah, there's definitely a roadway. I don't recall it having anything along the right side of the building around to the back other than shrubbery in an area that's maybe about 6 feet out from the side of the building. So, okay, there's any other discussion on this? So on the motion to table, from Commissioner Kelly, seconded by Commissioner Usel. Commissioner Kelly?
Aye, table.
Item table, Commissioner Parkins?
Aye.
Okay, Commissioner Mono?
Aye.
Commissioner Usel?
Aye.
And the chair votes
Join the
aye.
meeting.
Yeah, so my only
Yeah.
question is, who do I contact about, giving you more information? Do you have a name or email I can send something to?
We have, Mr. O'Neill is our CEO, and do you have a copy of the application that was posted on the website? Because right at the top is
I can barely hear you. I mean,
email.
it's coming back through, your voice is coming through so garbled that I'm really not getting clearly what you're saying. If you give me someone's name or number or their email, I'll try to get you more information about what they do there, and I'll try to get you some outside pictures of the building. But I need to know where to send it.
Okay. Yeah, your application has a particular email address, so Mr. O'Neill, would you please get in touch with that applicant? Okay, the, staff from the zoning office will be in touch so that you could continue this.
All right, so is someone going to call me,
And
or do I have to I'm not understanding what you're saying. It's just not coming through clear.
They will be in touch with you, staff will be in touch with you, okay?
All right, so someone's going to
Thank
call
you.
me?
Yes.
Yes, staff is in touch with you, sir.
Okay, then I'll just wait to hear from you. Is that it?
That's it, thank you. Next item on the agenda is old business, starting with application 20-10, Dominic Thomas for storming, Bull and Barley, 350 Bridgeport Avenue, applying for a site plan modification for PDD number 7 to expand the outdoor dining operation. Application to permanently expand the dining area and fencing of the exterior patio was reviewed at our July 8th, 2020 meeting. And during that meeting, Commissioners and Mr. Canico expressed concerns about the proposed access to the restaurant and patio, the limited size and location of a portion of an exterior sidewalk, and the lack of a turning radius at the end of the building. The Commission voted to table this application to allow the applicant to come back. Exterior layout modifications. Those were all posted on the website. So Attorney Thomas, you're representing the applicant.
Yes, Attorney Dominic Thomas, Colin Thomas, 350 Main Street, Service Connecticut, representing the applicant. Just a bit of free legal advice. I think you were able to return your audio system to the shop that you got it from. I will have to do that. And one other point, I keep saying, the regular Zoom meetings don't have these problems. But anyway.
Unfortunately,
I know. But anyway,
higher power than the Commission at the size of those
I
things.
will tell you this, that other people in my application who have called in have made the same complaint. They have difficulty hearing, but.
It's as frustrating for us as it is for them.
Okay. So, you have the revised plan, and I think David Elias is on the phone. He was gonna call in.
I am on the phone, yes.
So, as you can see, we, beginning with the back, going from back to front. The turning radius was reinstalled, on the end of it. With respect to, Commissioner Parkins' question concerning, sort of sealing off the front patio, you can see they redesigned the front to put a waiting area in. You should have 11 by 17 is this thing. That's the one, a bigger one. I know some of you looking through it. That's 11 by 17. Okay. This plan. Anyway, so now you see that there's a waiting area in the front, and there's a fence, a gate, and obviously they would station somebody out there, a waitress, a hostess, during the appropriate time period. And now that seals off the front patio, and people entering just go right in. There's an area where they can sit, and that is under the overhang, which you see the dotted line, and then there's the entrance. So they shrunk the size of the patio. With respect to the sidewalk, and I did get a call from your staff on this, there's a 6-foot sidewalk in front. It has a flush planter. This parcel is the end cap. The commission chairman made a comment that some people, and it's very rare there, I've never seen it occur, but some people might park over on the parking on the side, which is usually just for the restaurant, and walk Planet Pizza or one of the other things. So it is not in a situation similar to Taco Company at the marketplace, where Taco Company is in the middle, and you have the possibility of people flowing to the many stores on either side. So we feel it is unnecessary to remove the planter, and the 3-foot section to get by the planter is sufficient enough for someone to get by, because there will be a limited amount of traffic because it's the end cap. If you're coming, so to speak, south, you're going to Stornings, and there is an abundance of parking south of the side patio, as you are aware of the site. If you are going to Planet Pizza, it's just very rare that you would park there instead of parking in front when there's all that parking in front. So we just believe it's not necessary to disturb the planter. You have sufficient room to get by at 3 feet, and you have a 6-foot sidewalk on either side of the plant.
Okay, Attorney Thomas, just to clarify for anyone who's participating, sheet SK-5 shows the changes, and that flush planter is the rectangular oblong to the left of the words front patio?
Right, with a little dot.
Right. Okay. I have no problem with that planter staying, just with the caveat that staff would have to just monitor this and make sure that there isn't anything that changes.
If there's a problem like that, we don't know, changing and everything like that,
Mhm.
it is a flush planter. It's very easy to seal off, but I don't think there's going to be any issue because it is the end cap.
So unlike other outdoor restaurants or outdoor seating, where access to the side patio can be from the overhead door, the access to the front patio is only through the waiting area.
Right, you would have to go into the, and go back out. It does have the second exit. The back, which obviously wouldn't be a normal exit or entrance, wouldn't be allowed, it would be locked. I mean, I'm sort of one way out.
Right.
And you do have it there. And we did not show, obviously, it wouldn't be a permanent station, but most likely a hostess station would be set up. At Company 1 right there.
Which I have now. So, could you just take for the record what exactly is the type of 4-foot high fence that is being proposed?
It's on a prior plan that was submitted. We didn't, there's I think a photograph of the proposed station, and Mr. Elias can jump in and correct me. It's an anodized aluminum black.
Good. Yep, that's, it's very similar to the illustration that is online. I find that to be very appropriate, so I'll open it up. Is there anything else before I open it up to the commission?
I don't.
Okay, so do any of the commissioners participating remotely have any comments, questions, or concerns about this? Commissioner Parkins, Commissioner Usell?
Madam Chair, I do have one question. I would assume that the gate entrances are only allowed in for near the patio area, near the front door entrance, not the one toward the rear parking lot and or the heading toward the other stores. Those gates would be just exit only, emergency exit only?
I can answer that. This is David Elias. That is correct. Yes.
Okay, thank you. the only question I have, thank you.
If you said, I just want to clarify, the gate that is near the front door is the way you get in.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, we understand that.
Yeah, there's no entrance to the front patio straight from the restaurant.
Right. Exactly, yeah, there's a
The
wall.
back gate, the one that Commissioner Parsons referred to next to the other store, that's, an emergency exit out.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay. And it would be
But
a-
for the side patio, is there that entrance that appears to be near the waiting area? Is that an entrance in as well, or is the only way to the side patio through the overhead door?
I believe that.
The only way is through the overhead door. Those two, the side patio doors, which egress out, they're simply two egress doors. You are not supposed to enter from the waiting area outside. You'd have to go inside the dining area and then get escorted through the overhead door to the side patio.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Okay.
And then I'll finish with you, Sal. Do you have any comments, questions, or concerns?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Amato? Commissioner Kelly? Okay. All right.
Quick question. So,
Okay, Mr. Rossetti?
flip that scenario around, where you mentioned someone parking at this corner walking towards the center. If these 6 spots are filled, you've got a pickup truck right next to that planter overhanging that sidewalk. How does someone get to the front entrance of the restaurant from the center of the parking lot?
Well, I'm not sure if there are wheel stops at that location or anything like that to prevent it. I think if a truck is going to have.
Or any car, if any car in the front left, you see those, people pull up, their front overhangs the sidewalk. Do they then hop off and walk around the asphalt?
I've been up there both for this place and other places. I've never observed them overhanging or anything like that. I'm not sure whether there are wheel stops up there. I don't know if there's parking lot. In other words, if it goes all the way up. I'm not sure, but I suppose if somebody with some sort of a giant thing with a big overhang pulled right up or drove right onto the sidewalk, I believe there's a curb there, okay? And I believe there's if somebody did that, they have to walk around the truck the same way as somebody, pulled up onto the sidewalk too far because they had a thing done. I don't know,
Mr. Ryan, do you know if there are wheel stops? David?
Excuse me, were you asking me about a wheel stop?
Yeah, do you know if there are wheel
Hello?
stops?
I do not know if there are wheel stops there. Now, if you see the sort of diagonal pattern on the southwest section there where the handicap spaces are, those exist. So I presume that there's either a curb cut for handicapped accessibility, but I don't know that. They exist, so I presume there is, but I can't answer positively or negatively.
Madam Chair, I've just pulled up Google Maps, and there are no wheel stops at that location.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Parkins.
We never use wheel stops.
Sir, I'm talking to Commissioner Parkins. Okay, so Commissioner Parkins, could you look on that Google map? Usually along the bottom right side shows the date of that particular, when that image is captured. Does it indicate that anywhere?
Sure, it says map date 2020. And the
Okay.
Can you repeat that? It's very difficult to. Some people I can understand very well, and others it just comes through garbled. And I think you were addressing me, but I didn't quite know what you said.
Okay. If there is a problem, if a problem occurs, we will take care of the planner. I just don't see the need at this point to speculate about long overhangs or people falling there and taking out a planter at this point, just based on what I think is pure speculation.
We don't want to see that, that's the point. The point was, did the client need to move the fence back or not? But it seems like there are wheel stops there, so that does not seem like it'll be an issue.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, I think staff could work with the applicant to make sure that things are positioned appropriately. So
Madam Chair,
so as to make sure that there is, adequate access for pedestrians and pedestrian safety is not impacted. Mr. Handy, you have a question?
With all due respect to the applicant, a permit was given under the general executive order for outside dining of the government, which required 6-foot sidewalk space. So that's number one. Number two, is there enough room to 42 inches from the planter to the sidewalk for handicap access? Number three, the regulation doesn't decide who is going to use the sidewalk or not. It just speaks to any sidewalk that's there and has public access, has to be 6 feet. With exceptions, if it isn't 6 foot, it's not 6 foot. This particular one was 6 foot. The applicant, when came in, was notified of this requirement. And so, it's up to the commission as to what they're going to do, but that's the state requirement.
The executive order was referencing sidewalks and public rights. This is not a sidewalk.
It was for outside dining, and we issued a permit for that particular location under that executive order with that specification.
I understand that, and I'm not familiar with that permit. I just want to make it very clear. The executive order was talking about sidewalks in a public right-of-way, like your sidewalks in downtown. And in fact, if you look at your sidewalks in downtown, they have successfully taken outdoor dining without 6-foot things, and it's an enormous success. So I understand that, but there is no any private inside of a shopping center, that's I don't think that's private, it's not a public right of way. My only point is that if there is a problem, I mean, if you want to start, the plan is you want to start taking away the patio, I'm just telling you the reason when staff can deal with it, and we can deal with it if there is a problem.
We have to make sure they're handicapped, like you realize. Regardless if it's outside of which I disagree with, but taking your scenario, you still have to make sure that there's enough room with that planted to the curb for handicap accessibility. It doesn't govern who uses one sidewalk.
I understand that. We have handicap spaces on the other side. We have handicap access to that side. So what you're saying is, if somebody is coming down in a wheelchair, then how would they get over it? And I will talk to the clients about removing the plan. That's what will solve all the issues. I just think it can be left there. I like leaving a little more green space on things until there's an issue, and then deal with it when there's an issue. But if the commission believes that planter needs to be removed, then, do it. It's just...
Okay, very good. Any other commissioners want to weigh in on this?
I just want to add that I think a very valid point has been brought up, because if you go onto Google Maps, you will see clearly that there is a car that has pulled up so that the front of their car is encroaching on the sidewalk area a little further down. So it is a valid point. I think a solution could easily be found.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Porter, for that. Okay, let's move this particular application along. What's the commission's preference on this? Is there a motion to approve? Is there a motion to deny? Is there a motion to table?
Madam Chairman,
Go ahead, Mr. Pianico.
I totally support the preservation of access across the front of that patio area. I discussed it with Alex, and he's carried my concerns to the commission. The only other remaining concern that I have is we have not seen, nor have I heard anyone make any stipulations regarding the furniture that's going to occur within those patio areas, and to make sure that we don't have umbrellas with a lot of extraneous advertising on them, and that proper provision is made for disposal of rubbish material. in both of those areas. With these patios, I presume, are going to be serving some food in addition to just drinks. So with the promotion of paper disposable products in lieu of hard dishes, trash may become a more significant issue that we need to keep an eye on. That's about it.
Thank you, Mr. Panico. Good point. So your concerns would be advertising on any umbrellas that would be used on the outside patio table, the trash removal, and I believe you had a third point.
No, that's really it. The make sure that we don't get any advertising and that we do have adequate trash removal provisions.
Okay. Could the applicant share with us any information about their trash removal, or?
It would be like all the other patios you have in town, where you have no issues with any trash removal, because most restaurants don't want trash out there, so you have people clearing the tables, putting it into, bringing it inside and putting it into trash cans, and I'm sure there's been no, in all of the patios that I've seen, I haven't seen one that has an issue, so we do have the normal pickup and bus boys and everything that has that. So I don't see any issue. With respect to the transportation, let me offer a solution. My client will just close over the.
I just want to point out that because of the fact that we have the COVID situation and the state mandates on sanitizing everything, so I'm sure the client's going to keep that appropriately monitored.
They want to keep it clean and not know what else. They haven't. There hasn't been a problem there with their regular package. They're just out there now.
Yeah, it's just good to get these things on the table, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a problem with garbage going around, then they're subject to some sort of an order from the commissioner, from the landlord especially. Let me make a suggestion, because I don't know, and I'm not getting, in order to last-ditch effort to save the plant, because I think situation of removing things based on pure speculation is not necessary. The other thing is, I assume wheel stops are movable, they're portable. So for those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces along the patio, we could just put wheel stops a little farther out from the curb.
But I don't think that addresses the point that Mr. Maffey brought up, is that there has to be adequate space for handicap access. Does
I don't.
having keep it
I'm not sure. I can't comment on required handicap access, other than handicap parking lots or anything like that. I'm not sure in a private area like this if there's a handicap requirement. So I'm not even sure that it is. However, I couldn't tell you. I suppose I can go and see whether or not a wheelchair would be able to fit by it. But if it is a problem, we will close off. We will close off the planter and cover it.
You said it's. Correct me if I'm wrong, but did you say that this was a movable planter?
No, it's a flush.
Oh, I see.
It's a flush. So we would just fill it in and put.
Got it. Okay.
Or whatever, papers in it or something.
Okay, back to the commission.
As far as trash and the advertising issue, that's all addressed in our revised regs.
Well, yeah, this is a PUD also, and I have no problem with the condition of the umbrellas and not have advertising. Other than, that was for Panera, where they just had the little, what do you call it? So I don't think there's any problem with no advertising at all.
I feel we should expedite this, maybe with the provision that would be prepared in some way, or either by, moving those stops back, if that works, or removing the planter, if that works. I'd like to leave that to staff.
Right, I was going to say, if someone wants to make a motion to approve with the provisions that the handicap access in front of the planter be addressed, and the, what was the other point you were just talking about, Commissioner Mara? Not the trash.
Yeah, I think that's addressed in our regs already.
Right.
That is an issue.
Okay, so,
Why don't we make
Commissioner
a
Kelly?
motion, all the problems going around with the plant, just to remove the plant?
It's a flush
All the
planter.
problems go away.
It's a flush planter. It's a flush to the ground.
The hole in the ground.
Oh,
That's a hole in the ground.
it's not.
That was the other point with the stops, the wheel stops that Commissioner Mara brought up.
Hey, move them back, I don't know if you have the turning distance, so I wouldn't know how this parking lot lays out, so.
So do you want to make a motion to approve with the conditions that the planter, the staff check out the planter, staff check out the wheel stops, and
I would, make a motion.
Madam Chairman, Madam
Wait,
Chairman,
Mr. Panico.
I will be very,
All right, Commissioner Mata, go ahead and finish your statement, and then we'll switch over to Mr. Panico.
All right, so I thought we could approve this, with the provision that that 6-foot sidewalk be preserved in one way or another, either by moving the parking stop back or, just using the planter, whichever works out, and then staff could work with the applicant. Like that.
Okay, very good. So before I ask for a second, Mr. Panico, what comments did you want to make?
my concern is the potential use of the wheel stops. I don't have a dimension on my drawing, but I believe that those spaces in the front of the building are only 18 feet deep. They rely on the overhang of the automobile. If you insert wheel stops, you may run the risk of pushing the back end of larger vehicles out into the travel way. So I would just be very cautious of that. And we don't particularly like wheel stops.
Okay, so it seems we don't have anything else except to recommend to remove the planter or fill it in because of the fact that the wheel stops, pushing the wheel stops back into the parking space will push the rear of any vehicle out into the parking lot. And
well, the only other alternative would be a significant reduction in that patio by reducing the 24-foot depth of it to 20 feet. And I think they would rather dispose of the planter.
Planter would be in the middle of the sidewalk.
yeah, the planter still is going to be in the middle of the sidewalk.
No, but then you can go around it, that's what you're saying.
You know, let's not make it a obstacle course.
We will, it's killing an ant with an elephant. Okay, let's work with staff. There's another option, which is putting very right at the edge of the sidewalk, so people shouldn't overhang. There's spaces without an overhang. Okay? It doesn't count on overhang. Apart from unless you're having some ridiculously large vehicle in there, so there is another option. The other option is small, not obtrusive bollards, to be put up there, but let's work with staff, will preserve the working way through.
Can I ask what's in this planter?
No, it's just look nice.
Is there a couple bushes in there?
I can tell you exactly what's in there right now.
It's nothing.
Mr. O'Neill is showing Commissioner Mata. What is it?
I mean, they could even have a planting within the patio area.
Can I see that, Mr. O'Neill, please? Okay, there you go.
I think we understand the requirements, and I think we can work with staff on it. If we have to get rid of the planter, we will.
Okay.
Okay, and we'll work with staff on it, but I think there are other options to do it.
All right, so Commissioner Mata, how do you feel about that as a...
I think I'm saying the same thing. I think we should move forward with this, with the preservation of the 6 foot in some way or other, whether that's removing the plant, adjusting the parking.
Commissioner,
Okay, Commissioner Kelly?
could I add something to that? It could be worked out with staff, as long as all the rules and regulations are met.
Yeah, I think that was the intention overall, to work with staff. Commissioner Milo, is that satisfactory? Okay. All right, so there's motion on the table to approve with the provision that the 6-foot sidewalk be preserved in some manner, shape, or form, and to work with staff to come up with a resolution on that. Is there a second on that motion?
I'll make a second.
There's a second from Commissioner Kelly. Any further discussion? Any remote commissioner have any discussion?
In addition to the
Okay,
preservation,
hearing none?
Chair,
Say that again, Commissioner Brooks?
yes. So in addition to the preservation of the sidewalk is a safety aspect of the parking area. I have no problems with the application.
Absolutely.
If you look at the Google map, you'll see there is a car it's a rather small car it is overhanging onto the sidewalk. So that the safety aspect is my biggest concern. So if they can address that, that's fine.
Okay. Okay, I think that's something that Commissioner Kelly also had responded to as well. So everybody in the commission understands what we're moving towards, an approval with the provision to preserve the 6-foot sidewalk in some manner, to work with staff, to make sure that there's no problems with safety, pedestrian safety, make sure there's no problems with a vehicle being able to park in a manner that would mean that the rear of the vehicle would be in passing lane of the parking lot. Commissioner Kelly, would you vote on this, please?
I vote aye.
Commissioner Kelly votes aye. Commissioner Perkins?
Aye.
Commissioner Mata? Aye. Commissioner Youssef?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, so the motion is passed 5-0, and the applicant will be working with staff to come up with a resolution on this. Okay, next on the agenda is application 20-13, 153 Bridgeport Avenue. This is for a site plan approval in a CB2 zone on .95 acres to allow for the commercial use of a nursery and necessary equipment. This particular application was accepted for review on June 10th, 2020. At that meeting, the commission heard from the applicant's attorney and engineer. The commission had several questions for the applicant. And Mr. Panico indicated he had several questions regarding the size of the storage bins, the location of the dumpster, and the outdoor plant storage area. Mr. Panico noted city engineer's report had not yet been received at that time, but the city engineer did submit a report after the meeting dated July 30th, 2020. Mr. Panico indicated that comments from the Department of Transportation had not yet been received. Mr. Rizzetti, has anything come in from the Department of Transportation? No. Mr. Rizzetti, I will acknowledge you in a minute. All right, so we need to clarify as to whether or not that was necessary. So, Attorney Thomas, there's paperwork that was passed out by staff this morning, which includes the city engineer's July 30th letter that I referenced in my comments, and are these particular plans brand new or just updated and enlarged?
Attorney Dominic Thomas, Coleman Thomas, 315 Main Street, Jimmy Checkin, representing the applicant. First of all, with respect to the engineer's report, it was received by Mr. Mayo last Thursday. He was able to speak with Mr. Ritter yesterday, finally. And what we submitted was the engineer report, simply the responses in writing, which he will go over, Mr. Mayo's here. PowerPoint is a compilation of everything that's been submitted, including the revised plans, which were given in hard copy, I believe, a week and a half or so ago, so they were there on the website. The two Google Street Views were submitted way back at the June meeting, okay? And they are just for illustration. with respect to the comment about DOT, first of all, there is already curb cut here. There's two of them. Second of all, you do not go to DOT before you get an approval. That's the first thing DOT is going to say if you go there for an encroachment permit is going to be what for. And if you please show us your approval. Because if you go there before you go and get an approval, and the Planning and Zoning Commission moves the driveway, then it's a waste of everybody's time. Okay, so there is that condition, DOT approval on state highways are usually made conditions of approval. So with that, we have a PowerPoint. You should have the PowerPoint, again, includes everything that's been presented already. And there is a PDF, hopefully the remote. I sent it in this morning, hopefully the remote members, Commissioner Russo and Commissioner Perkins have a copy of it on their screen. And I'll call upon Mr. DeMeo to go over and address all the changes which were the result of Mr. Panico's comments and questions and the city engineer's comments and questions.
Chair Parkin, Madam Chair?
Go ahead, Commissioner Parkin.
The only thing we have available remotely is what was posted on the website, the revised drawing. Is that what Attorney Comness was referring to?
Yeah, Mr. DeMeo is indicating that is what?
I sent in yesterday an email PDF of the PowerPoint, or this morning, an email PDF of the PowerPoint. I believe that submitted to be sent to the remote member.
Mr. Thomas's email has been forwarded to all the commissioners. It's all the same material that has previously been posted. There's nothing new. This is just the repackaged it and forwarded to us this morning for yesterday evening, and I forwarded it out to everyone this morning.
So what we have in front of us are paper copies of what are already posted on the internet and what the commissioners would have received by email. Okay, Mr. DeMeo, go ahead.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is James DeMeo. I'm a special engineer at Giuliano Associates. We're located at 405 Main Street in Wallingford. So I'll try to keep it relatively short. I'm just going to go over some of the changes. Okay, so go one more. Okay, so this is our site layout and landscaping plan. After the last couple of meetings with, commission members, town staff, one of the main changes that we did is we updated the landscaping plan, put a lot more detail into the types of trees, location of trees, everything like that. I also color-coded the map so that it's a little easier to understand where the grass, where the pavement, where the mulch, things like that. So you'll notice that it's now color-coded. We modified the overall shape of the material storage bin. Originally, there was multiple smaller bins. Now we're just going to do one overall bin, so it'll just be mopping a lot, coming down the sides, and then across the back. We also called out specifically two outdoor plant storage areas. One is in the back, next to the bin. The other one is a little bit closer to the road on the other side of the parking. We added the...
Excuse me, Mr. DeMeo, could you step over to the large screen and point out what you're referring to, please?
I use the lid around there, or...
I'm not going to be turning around. Here, right there.
Okay.
You don't have to stay there permanently, just point out those things.
So what we did, because the plant storage areas are these cross-hatched areas. So there's one in the back, one in the front. Our dumpster pad, which will have an enclosure, is located in the back there. We also have an equipment storage area So this, for instance, like a front loader who's gonna load up mulch to, bigger clients, things like that. We rearranged the parking a little bit, just to fit a little bit nicer. We also added the location of the existing rock space at the gas station next door, as well as the parking or edge of pavement line for the neighboring property in the back, which, as you can tell, is pretty close to the property line.
Okay, for the benefit of the commissioners who are participating remotely, on the diagram that is identified as site layout and landscaping plan, right in the middle, there is a rectangular area that's marked no parking loading zone. To the left of that is an area, rectangular, that has cross marks on it. That is one of the planter storage areas. And to the left of the parking spaces is another plant storage area. To the right of the no parking loading zone, in front of it is a white open space. That is those are the bins. The individual bins have not been indicated. But to the right of that white rectangle is where a piece of equipment is supposed to be stored. And there's to the right of that a little white square, and that is supposed to be the dumpster. Continuing to the right side of the property line, there is a rectangle that has some slanted lines in it, and that is supposed to be a building. Okay?
For the existing rock cut for the gas station. So we were trying to show the relationship of where the existing rock slope is, or the face of the rock, behind the gas station in comparison to all the activities on our property.
So the excavation of that particular property would have to go further back past the existing rock cut. Am I looking at this correctly?
So our rock face will be further from Bridgeport Ave than the gas station.
Okay. Go ahead, we can go back to.
The next one. So that was pretty much it. That was an update on the site layout and landscaping plan. The other plan that I'd like to just touch upon really quickly is the site development plan. One of the changes that was done was we are going to add two 2,000-gallon tanks in order to help collect rainwater, and we're going to use that rainwater to help irrigate the plants that are on site. Aside from that, those were the major changes on the actual plans, and those tanks will be located just in front of the proposed building. If you're looking at it, head towards Bridgeport Ave.
Those are not submerged. Those are above ground.
Those will be in ground.
They will be submerged. Okay. So what did they look like, an oil tank or?
It's kind of like a septic tank.
Septic tank. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
Now, what I'll do is I'll go over the town engineer's comments, and as you previously stated, you get a chance to talk very briefly with the town engineer. So, one of his concerns was the rockfall catchment area not being sufficient enough in width. After speaking with him, one of the solutions that we came up with was, as long as we tie the Mafia blocks together so they act as one unit across the back, then it will be sufficient. The concern was that boulders or rocks coming down, hitting that area, it'll hit and then continue to roll into the parking area.
Would you point out on the screen exactly that area where those Mafia blocks would be?
Yep. So these are the materials.
Okay.
Yep. So those will be tied together.
And are they elevated in such that someone who gets out of their car looking at those bins would see them, or do they form the back wall?
Correct. Yes, they form the back wall of the bin so that material doesn't just keep getting pushed back as it was picked up by the machine.
Got it.
So that was pretty much how we're, our answer. And resolution, for that comment. The sheet 1 of 8, which was the existing condition survey, did make it today. I don't know what happened, but.
Just to clarify, sheet 1 of 8, which is, which is the existing condition survey, was part of a prior presentation.
Mm-hmm.
It was already submitted, so what was being asked for was revised site development plan.
Mm-hmm.
So sheet 1 of 8 is the prior, survey done by Noah Thomas and Jim John.
Okay.
And then his comment number 3 was the use of millings in the parking lot is not recommended. However, once the millings go down, the intention is to put a 4-inch layer of millings down, compact it, and over time, it's literally just going to turn right back into pavement.
Is that the kind of material that the cities use to resurface their roads?
So what millings are when you're replacing a road, you have a grinder there that comes and just grinds up all the asphalt,
Mm-hmm.
and then they load it into the back of the dump truck. We're going to take that while it's still hot and put it down, and then compact it. So basically it re-solidifies back into asphalt,
Mm-hmm.
because it is. So we'll be using that and compacting it. His comment number 4 was talking about the truck washing area to eliminate tracking material off-site should be included as permanent. Once this site is finished, there will be no debris or anything on the outside of vehicles, because it's going to be considered a clean site. It's going to have pavement or millings or concrete down on the surface. So trucks aren't going to be picking up dirt or anything like that, and the only things that are going to be added to the trucks are going to be in the back of the trucks or in the beds of the trucks. So don't necessarily think that that's really required once it's completed.
But the trucks are referring to ones that make the deliveries to the site, as well as trucks that would come to haul away?
Exactly. Either or, the exterior of the trucks will be clean,
Mm-hmm.
because by the time they even get there, they will be clean. They won't be picking up anything on the site. Has a geologic study of the site been performed? If so, will blasting be required? A geologist did take a look at the material. I know the report was submitted to the town engineer for his review. I just know he's super busy, so I don't think he had time to take a look at it as of this point. But it is believed that most of the work will be conducted with a hammer on an excavator, and then very minimal, if that, blasting will be required at some point, only if necessary. He has some concerns about an area of fill. So he has some concerns about the material that is being placed behind on top of the slope.
Mm-hmm.
And the intention of that is to make sure that we are directing water away from the top of the slope and pushing it towards the swales that we will construct
Mm-hmm.
on the side. Because we don't want water to go down the rock face, because
Mm-hmm.
that's ultimately what will cause there to be a problem and more rocks falling. So I will provide the town engineer with more details and information on how that's going to be stabilized, but essentially it's just, it's going to be, a combination of stone, topsoil, and grass.
Before I forget, can you just answer, there's no plans to put any netting over the rock face or anything like that to contain?
Not over the face, no.
Yes, okay.
It's 40 feet high.
Yes, I know. I just wanted to bring that up.
The town engineer has requested stormwater calculations. Those will be provided. He noted that what's retaining the first 2 inches of rainfall on site, either through the use of galleys or rain gardens. Stormwater calculations will be provided to the town engineer. That's not a problem. The only concern that I have, and I didn't get to discuss this further with him, is the 2-inch requirement, because I couldn't find anything in the ordinances to mention the 2-inch requirement, and we are actually decreasing the amount of impervious area on site. So I'm going to have to work with him a little bit more back and forth to make sure that he's satisfied, but that shouldn't be a problem either way. He requests silt sacks be installed in the catch basin immediately downstream of the site. This will be added to the plans and installed during construction. He had a concern of the overflow pipe from the rainwater holding tanks must be connected to storm sewer. No daylight of drainage is allowed. Again, currently how that system is designed is during the 100-year storm, there is 0.08 CFS leaving that pipe during the 100-year storm. A garden hose is 0.04. It's basically 2 garden hoses. It's very minimal during a pretty massive storm. So when speaking with him, he requested that, again, I should give him that information, prove it to him, and that if it becomes a problem further down the road, because his main concern would be water going over the sidewalk, that it will be addressed at that time.
What's daylighting of drainage?
So daylighting is when you have an underground detection system, you typically have an emergency overflow pipe coming out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that pipe, how we're showing it, is eventually coming out to the open air.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just discharging on the ground. That's daylight. If we weren't daylighting, the pipe would be run all the way underground, all the way to the existing catch basin. Now, we are actively trying to not do that because it's going to pose other problems. The nearest catch basin is in front of the gas station over here. Now, the problem with installing into that catch basin is that we will have to come down our front property, rip up and replace all the sidewalk, and then tie into the catch basin. And while we're doing that, we're going to be closing off one of the entrances and exits to the gas station. Mm-hmm. It's just an excessive amount of work for something that is only discharging like a garden hose during the 100-year storm. So we're trying to, I will be working with Remus to make sure that he's satisfied with the solution that we push and move forward with. But that's pretty much where we're at. We're trying to not have to tie into that if we can avoid it.
Yeah, Mr. Jimmy, I just want to point out that while this might be the size of 2 garden hose, a person who has a single garden hose can control the flow by shutting it off at the source. But when you have an outdoor storm, there ain't no way you're going to tell Mother Nature, all right, stop raining. So.
It's correct. A 100-year storm is over 7 inches in each spot for an hour, or for 24 hours. So,
I know exactly what it's like because in the August of, it had to be in the early 70s, we had a major storm in Shelton. My parents' house was affected by a 100-year storm, and it wiped out the backyard and the sidewalk and the street in front of us, all the way down to Center Street. So I know what the impact of a 100-year storm
can be. And by us only discharging 2 garden hoses in the scheme of all that, it's very, very minor.
Yeah, I would hope that it stay like that.
Correct. So that's the approach behind that.
Okay, go ahead.
Next comment, all damaged sidewalks along the project site should be replaced. A note will be added to the plans and done, that's not a problem. A detail of sidewalk/curbs to be added. The state detail will be added to the plans, not a problem. Pavement repair detail will be added to the plans. The state pavement repair detail will be added to the plans. Again, not a problem. Rows of hay bales in conjunction to the silt fence required on site. This is absolutely not a problem.
So those hay bales are permanent?
No. So, wherever we're having a silt fence, we're going to reinforce it with the hay bales. That's the intention of it. It's just to reinforce the silt fence because if debris comes too quickly, it'll push it over. So
But at some point, those hay bales are removed?
When the silt fence is removed, yep,
Okay.
it gets pulled. So once everything's stabilized, then the line is removed.
Okay.
Indicate sightline distances in both directions. This is not a problem, this will be added to the plans. And then the last one will be encroachment permit, so, which Attorney Thomas was already brought up.
Mm-hmm.
So do we have any additional questions?
I do.
Okay, so Commissioner Kelly?
Are there bathroom facilities in the building?
Yes, yes. There will be a staff bathroom, essentially.
For the public too?
Yeah, I mean, yes. No? It will be connected to sewer.
Okay.
If that's where it's always are.
And Commissioner Romano, do you have any questions?
Well, I'm just happy to let you work with the engineer, because all of this is outside of my, sure, but I would like to get rid of the illustrator. The landscape, what most places are considering that particular type of phases.
That's the one that's on the first one on the list on the site.
Very fair.
Yeah. Okay.
Just so we know, is there anything in particular that you would prefer to see instead?
Anything native.
Okay, any commissioner that is participating remotely have any comments, questions, or concerns? Commissioner Parkin?
None for me, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Usel?
Yeah, my main concerns were with the comments from the city engineer, and now that it's being dealt with, no other questions.
Very good, thank you, Commissioner Usel.
I would like to just make one additional comment, and that a lot of the comments with the town engineer are not things that are going to change the overall layout or anything else of the site plan. So it's all kind of minor stuff that isn't really going to affect anything else.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Mr. Bianco, anything that you need to bring to our attention, any concerns that you might have with all the revisions?
Yes, Madam Chairman, I have several concerns that really need to be addressed, and I thought some of these we had discussed at the last meeting, and I came away with the impression that they were going to be addressed. I had mentioned at the last meeting about the potential need for a guard railing to prevent those parked cars from accidentally going down that steep slope to Bridgeport Avenue. I do not see it on the drawings. I do not see how they propose to control the locations of those parking spaces. This material that they're going to use, are they going to be able to stripe it? How do you stop the cars, from going anywhere? On the landscape plan, what is that tan area between the two rows of shrubs, the ones down near the sidewalk, near the public sidewalk, and the ones up at the top? Is that mulch? Is it grass? What is it? It's a 2-to-1 slope, so it poses some potential maintenance problems. I thought we had agreed that the entrance drive was going to be paved to the top of the grade. I see no indication of that. I thought we had discussed at length the need for security fencing on the part of the applicant. Apparently he's decided he doesn't need security fencing because I don't see it on the drawing. I see the protective fencing around the sides and the back, but I don't see anything that secures his proposed activity from inadvertent intrusion. On the landscape plan, the sizes shown are mature sizes. What sizes are they going to be when they're planted? That's what we really want to know. Let me see what else. I have concern on the use of these millings. I will admit I'm not totally familiar with it, but I can visualize that area between the parked cars and that storage bin as having a lot of activity of wheels of cars and trucks turning and twisting and maneuvering. Is this going to stand up under that kind of duress? But let's see what else I have here. Concerning the use of the premises, are we limiting ourselves strictly to plant nursery materials, or are we also opening ourselves up to the sale of pumpkins in the fall, hay bales in the fall, Christmas trees at Christmas time? What are those projections? I do not see any details about the dumpster enclosure, nor do I see any details about the main enclosure, other than it's going to be made out of mafia blocks and they're going to be hooked together in the back where they form a retaining wall. The wing walls of that mafia block enclosure are going to be visible. There's no question about it. To me, I see a lot of unanswered questions, some of which I thought we had resolved, but they don't seem to show up.
Okay, the applicant has some information for all of us regarding all those points.
Yes, so originally we were talking about a guardrail or placing rocks. And this is, my fault, I forgot to mention this. What we are intending to do is place rocks or large boulders along the front of all the parking spaces. So there will be rock boulders there that will act essentially as a guardrail. Not to mention we're going to have trees and shrubbery and everything else there before the
Is that what those circles are I see on the landscape plan?
Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, sir. The tan area is mulch, where the green is proposed grass.
Say that again. I'm sorry, I didn't get that.
Yes, sir. So the tan area is proposed mulch, and the green areas are proposed grass.
Okay. What kind of mulch are you talking about? You talking about a stone mulch? You're talking about a different? I don't know what you're talking about.
Like wood chip mulch, colored, like decorative mulch.
Okay. Is that going to stand up on that slope? It's a 2-to-1 slope.
It will require maintenance. Continual maintenance. But the maintenance of that will be significantly easier than maintaining the grass at a 2-to-1 slope and trying to get a mower on there. So that's the avenue for the mulch. It's just it will need to be reapplied and cleaned up at the base.
What depth will it be applied at?
Yeah, a 3-inch depth, and the downside to terracing that slope is that what it's going to do now is it's going to push our parking area further from Bridgeport Ave. So 2-to-1 slope is kind of the max that we want to be. Anything steeper, it forces us into essentially retaining walls, and that's what we're trying to avoid. So we're trying to use a maximum slope in the shortest space possible. The millings will hold up to the vehicle traffic going over it. In all honesty, the more vehicular traffic that operates on top of the millings, the stronger it's going to become. So it will stand up and will, essentially get stronger over time, especially with the continuous use of that area.
You would plan to use a compactor, a roller, a compactor.
Yeah, so it'll get spread, and then it'll get compacted. And then, so the difference between a compactor and let's say, cars, over time the cars have just 4 point loads on it. Mm-hmm. So a lot of weight, so it will continually compact it and get stronger and stronger as time goes on. typically within, by the end of the summer, because the asphalt, for instance, the millings will heat up and rebind, especially with the vehicular traffic going over, it'll essentially be pavement in no time. We did talk about the pavement, coming up the drive aisle, and that is the intention. I would like to apologize, that's on me for not denoting that correctly on the plan, but that is the intention, after we discussed it. So the drive aisle, because it's sloped, we want to make sure that it has a good base for vehicles traveling up the slope. And then the main parking area, the main area is going to be millings due to the fact it's pretty flat and everything else.
So you're saying there will not be a paved driveway then?
There will be a paved driveway.
Sorry? I can't. There will be a paved driveway from where to where?
From the end of the concrete apron.
Yes.
On Bridgeport Ave, the existing concrete, up to the two radiuses, the radius points, in the main parking area, which is essentially where it flattens out.
Okay.
So
okay, that doesn't, I mean, I have no way of telling that from your drawings.
And I apologize, that was on me for not detecting that, but that is the intention.
There's no label, there's no limit of pavement?
Yes, the applicant is admitting that was not indicated on the drawings, Mr. Panica. So, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Madam Chairman, say that again?
The applicant indicated that particular detail had not been included on the site layout and landscaping plan sheet. But that is the intent of the applicant.
Okay, but it should be expressed on those drawings, otherwise we have no way of enforcing it later. What about the area around, I'm sorry.
Mr. Panica, one of the things I was going to recommend is that the applicant submit updated and more complete plans for sure on this particular application. There's a lot of those points that you brought up were excellent.
I saw somewhere, I guess, yes, there's a note that the material storage bin is going to have bituminous pavement on the bottom of it. Okay, understood. Does that pavement stops right at the front line of the bin? The no parking zone that you mentioned on the drawing, that's with the composite material that you're going to use, not pavement, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How will you delineate that in the field? This suggests that you're going to have a striped area marked no parking zone. Can you do that on this material?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that was another thing I was going to mention, was that the parking area and the no parking zones, all that line striping can still be done on top of the mills.
Okay.
It's not, so one thing I want to stress too is millings are not going to act and look as gravel. You know what I mean? So it's going to be a more fixed surface than gravel. You know, it is very, very close to if they just poured regular asphalt or laid regular asphalt.
Okay. Is that going to satisfy the needs and the requirements of the handicap space?
Yeah, the ADA requires a non-slip surface, so it will still meet the requirements. There was mentioned a comment about the dumpster enclosure detail. You can find that on sheet 7 of 8.
I can.
That is, yes, sir.
7 of 8. Maybe I don't have a full set.
It's at the top of the very center.
How was that sheet identified?
Well, I'm sorry. There it is. Okay. Well, shows a fencing, a chain link fence enclosure. That's not acceptable. It needs to be something a little bit more significant. Those chain link fence enclosures don't last very long. I did not hear some of the earlier comments of Attorney Thomas, and it perhaps answers my question, because this set of drawings has nothing about the building on it. Are we to go on the representations that were made on the original building of the original layout? Is that the intent?
Yes. We did not receive what we submitted. We submitted a photograph of a building that was going to be done. With respect to the dumpster enclosure, this is a special exception. I don't, I got to try to word this. This isn't a DVD, so there's no certain architectural standards with respect to it. We're complying with the use.
That's correct.
I don't understand. I don't understand as far as the dumpster enclosure. This is what Klein is proposing is a typical dumpster enclosure that you find in a lot of areas in normal site plans or special exception areas. If you want to enhance it, in what way would you? Obviously it has to be maintained, but this is, again, it's a permitted use within the zone.
I understand that, but we do have site plan review authority.
Right. It doesn't involve architectural aesthetics. So I'm just asking, what is the client will certainly consider recommendations as long as they're not. This is a typical dumpster enclosure that he's proposing.
But even when we've done site plan approvals in the past, we've always tried to avoid the chain link dumpsters because they don't tend to last very long. May I ask a question about the geology? We talked about whether or not there was going to be any kind of geological. Yes?
Mr. Pansel, before you go into the geological, is there some kind of substitute material that you would recommend that the applicant look into instead of
even if it were a simple masonry block enclosure would even be better.
Okay, at least that gives the applicant some direction on that. So go ahead with your geological.
I was asking about whether, there's a lot of rock excavation that's being proposed, and we're going to have some roughly 40-plus foot cuts in the back of the site. If it's going to be pounded out, the applicant seems to think that it can be done without blasting. That would suggest kind of a soft type of rock. How is the face of that cut going to come out? To be looking at a 40-foot high. Yes.
All right, Mr. Pansel, before the applicant addresses that issue, I think Attorney Thomas wanted to respond about the dumpster enclosure with masonry block.
What? I'm just trying to figure out how would you still need stakes, even if you put. I'm not sure what he means by masonry block. Maybe this is something we can resolve with staff.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
All right. So Mr. Pansel had a question about the blasting and the rock cut. So Mr. DeMeo is going to address that. And he brought up on the screen the large color picture of the parking lot where the Greek sign is shown on the left, and there are 4 vehicles facing the camera.
These were submitted previously.
Right.
I did note, and I noted in the record, that when you, on this day's meeting minutes, where the documents are, it only includes the most recent documents. You have to go back to the previous things. These things were submitted prior to the last meeting but not in time for the IT person to put on the line. I made the assumption that they would be put on because they were submitted in PDF prior to the last meeting. So I'm not sure, with respect to that, but again, they were part of the packet emailed in for the PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, they were part of the packet. Mr. Rossetti indicated that these were emailed to commissioners, so they should have them available to view.
So the rock site will look very similar to the property right next door. It's the same rock. It's gonna look just like that, which is why we included it.
And you believe that could be done without blasting?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
He said, yes, he does.
Yes, I heard his response. Is that the source for the proposed rocks that are going to be placed alongside the parking area? The proposed rocks that are going to be used in lieu of a retaining wall. Is that where, I'm sorry, in lieu of the guardrail? That's where it's going to come from, the material on site?
Yes, sir. As long as we're able to get large enough rocks that we can then shape as we're pulling it, from the mountainside, that will be where they will come from. That is the hope. If not, they're going to have to come from an outside source.
We're not really trying to beat up on this proposal. The problem is it's a highly visible site, and whatever we put there is going to be open to a lot of traffic that goes by it, and it should not look like a mess. So we need to be very careful as to how things are done.
You're absolutely correct. I need a mic.
Madam Chair.
You're absolutely correct, Mr. Canico, and Commissioner Kelly.
Are you going to submit signage? For signs?
I assume that the
Oh,
applicant will submit signage for the time.
Okay.
It's going to take a while to get the rock.
I just had one final comment, Madam Chairman.
Go right ahead, Mr. Canico.
I had some reservations about the entrance design, and I know the applicant submitted 4 possibilities of trucks entering and leaving that show it working, but I would have expected to see a more generous radius at the entrance-exit condition on that driveway. Nothing larger than a dump truck. Nothing larger than a dump truck is ever going to come into the site then, correct?
Yeah. So this is the existing curb cut that's there. It's a 30-foot wide, concrete apron in that area.
Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah, the width is fine.
Yeah. So it's a wide curb cut. So the trucks can get in and out. And again, we're not, with the turning radiuses, we're demonstrating that the vehicles can come in and out. And we're trying not to change the existing curb cut if we can. And we're okay.
For commissioners who are participating remotely, we're referring to the diagrams that are on sheet 8. That is identified as turning radius. There's 4 diagrams there that show vehicles entering from the north and south in both directions. I just had a question before you go on. The storage bin details, how many and how are they going to be divided up? And do you have something about that?
So the storage bin, the overall perimeter, which is lined with the mopping block, is going to be constructed in the way that it currently is, depicted on the plan. So we're just going to have the 2 wing walls from the side and a line of blocks in the back. There will not be individual dividers because as things change, as the season changes, inventory changes, the applicant would like the opportunity to be able to kind of shift the amount of the variously listed, materials around inside that bin.
Mm-hmm. What particular season is this something that would start in April, May, run to October? It's not a year-round operation.
I mean, the business,
I don't know if it's gonna be year-round.
yeah, the business technically, you know, can still be open year-round. The problem is you really won't get a lot of customers until the spring,
Mm-hmm.
you know, with the mulch and everything else,
Mhm.
plus all the flowers and.
Okay, because I bring that up, that Mr. Pianico did ask, is this going to be limited to only gardening and landscaping kind of materials, or are we going into a seasonal kind of thing with pumpkins and
Yeah,
whatever?
and as part of a nursery, you may decide to do pumpkins. You may decide to run a contract with Jones, have pumpkins, have Christmas trees at Christmas time. You could have specials for Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm. That's fine, we just want to make sure it's on the table.
Whatever, you know, it has a seasonal nature automatically, unless we can have another winter like we had last winter without the cold, preferably,
Mm-hmm.
but where we don't get any snow, you know, but I'm sure we would prefer to have some snow, so it's plowing job. Okay.
Yeah, I had no trouble with the Christmas trees personally, because I remember as being around 8 years old, and further down the street, where the ice cream shop was a Christmas tree lot, and
Right. Yeah,
here at our Christmas tree home.
It will be related to that. I mean, just like, for instance, you know, it's a nursery, and, you know, you can still have whatever plants that he has available. He is limited by the size of his place, but, you know, but seasonally, we'll try to address as much things as possible.
Yeah, I just think it's a good idea, just to make sure everybody's clear on that, so, that's all. Go ahead, Commissioner Amato.
I don't want to belabor this too much, but again, back to that landscaping, and I appreciate what Mr. Panico was pointing out in terms of the aesthetics. And I don't understand your comment about how terracing this would push back into parking. I see plants on the top, so I'm picturing could at the level there, then drop down with a retaining wall, and then go to a flat area instead of having so-called decorative mulch, which in my opinion is usually really accurate.
Well, so the only way for us to terrace it is to install a retaining wall.
Right.
And, you know, retaining walls are, one, costly, you know, and everything else, plus the aesthetics of the retaining wall. So the current application is to just have it sloped. Now, that's not to say that in the future that's the plan, but at least for now, this is the avenue the applicant would like to go.
Split rock is the same thing.
You have to speak for your, don't I?
Yeah. Hi, I'm John Totis. I'm the owner of the property. I don't have some shelter here.
John, just restate your name, because you weren't too close to the mic.
Sorry? Oh, okay. John Totis, 130 Wakely Avenue Extension, Shelton. I'm the owner of the property. This site will look very similar to Split Rock, this property right now. From Bridgeport Avenue, almost about the same elevation, same contour, same grade. I'm going to use mulch rather than a rock on the site on the base of this embankment. It's all going to be planted, looks very nice like Split Rock. I'm a landscaping contractor, so I want it to look nice. It's my product. I own the property across the street, which has pear trees on it, which I have never seen a property anywhere else besides where they're planted. So I don't know how it's an invasive, like you said. But whatever it takes to put this thing together, that's what I'm going to try to do. I want it to look nice too. Mr. Panico said it's a very eye-appealing site, and it will be. And I want to keep it that way. So it's not going to be garbage. That's it.
I kind of assumed that.
Yeah.
A landscaping business,
Right.
if there's plants out there, you're going to want them to look nice.
Obviously so.
I just know that pear trees are problems from a variety of perspectives, and people find something.
But there's just nails too.
You know, everybody wants their flowering trees, but it's only 1 week out of 52. So.
Right. Any other questions that I can answer over here? Mr. Panico?
Yes, Mr. Totus, the piles of mulch and stuff that would be within the bin in the back, about how high are those piles going to be at their worst case?
About 10 feet.
Okay. All right, that sounds okay. Pardon?
You mentioned the gate on the bottom of Bridgeport Avenue entrancing. There will be a swinging gate on the bottom to get into the property, so no one could go up the top of the hill without permission.
Yeah,
So
that is shown on the site layout.
That's primarily to control unauthorized vehicles from entering the site, is that it?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's halfway up the brown area. There's two lines that angle towards each other, like a peak on a roof. Okay, does the applicant have any other further information?
No, just reiterating, this is a site plan application, matter of right.
There is one thing that I just noticed in all the marks that I took down when Mr. Canico was speaking, that the chart shows the mature height of the items to be planted, but at the ask, what would the size upon planting be?
The trees would be between about 15 feet tall each, about 2 to 2.5 inches tall.
Mm-hmm.
So they are mature trees.
Okay. Mr. Canico, do you have a comment?
No, I just think the landscape plan should show in the table the size of the plant materials at the time of installation.
No, that's a good point. Absolutely. Any commissioners participating remotely have any comments, questions, or concerns?
No, Madam Chair, Tony Panico addressed all concerns.
Thank you. Commissioner Amato, Commissioner Kelly, anything from either of you? Okay. Mr. Kelly, any comments, questions, or concerns? Okay, so there's a number of things that have to be updated on a particular plan. Does the commission feel that the applicant could receive approval today and then work with staff to make sure all the concerns addressed by the commission and by Mr. Canico can be handled on a staff level?
I would feel that's appropriate.
I think so.
Okay, Commissioner Amato and Commissioner Kelly are both indicating that they're comfortable with that. How about Commissioner Parkins, Commissioner Usel? What are your feelings on that?
My only concern would be, I have no problem with that. My only concern would be to Tony Panico's point about the drawings not reflecting it. So the drawings that we approve is basically becomes the project. So if it's not on the drawings, we can't hold their feet to the fire. So I would just say whatever concerns he's raised should be addressed on the drawings.
Just a point, I heard that said before, and I heard it said earlier. This to approve it with the condition that the items requested be put on the drawings. If there is no doctrine at all that says how you didn't have it do it ahead of time. The fact of the matter is, if it's approved with conditions that these things be illustrated on the drawings, it is part of the approval. There is no, and I know, and I've heard this not just from this, I heard it from Chuck Wetlands, I've heard it from others. That's not the correct statement. I certainly believe you should check with your corporation counsel. If there are conditions approved, if there are conditions made that the drawings have to be changed, then the client cannot even get a building permit without those drawings being changed, in accordance with the comments that were made by the planning consultant commission members and the city engineer.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Thomas, for that. I perfectly understand Commissioner Parkins' concerns, because we just don't want to have something fall through the cracks and have to chase after the applicant afterwards. So, unless any commissioner has any further comments, Is there anyone that would like to make a motion to approve this particular application? Okay, there's a motion from Commissioner Amato, and Commissioner Amato, could you just clarify that that would include all the comments, questions, and concerns that we have from commissioners and as well as from Mr. Panico?
So I'll move that we approve this based on the addition of the information on the drawings as discussed and all the concerns that were raised with the applicant staff.
Okay, and Commissioner Kelly is seconding that particular motion. So, any further discussion? Okay, on a roll call, Commissioner Kelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins?
Aye.
Commissioner Amato?
Aye.
Commissioner Usel?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, the motion is passed 5-0. So, staff will have further conversations with the applicant to make sure that all the i's are dotted and the t's are crossed. So, good luck with this project.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, next on the agenda, as we're winding down, is application 2017 Walmart 465 Bridgeport Avenue for minor modification of PDD 9A, a site plan alteration to permanently allow for the use of outdoor seasonal sales and storage. And by just looking at the number of the PDD, this is a very early PDD. Walmart has been has had their site here in town for a number of years, and they have come every year to get a permit to have outdoor planting sold. There has been sometimes that has not already always occurred on a timely manner because store managers do change. When I understand, the current manager has been here for about 4 years, and the proposal on the letter that was submitted by Rachel Ford, the current sales manager, was to make a couple of changes, and commissioners should have the letter as well as a site plan that shows what is being proposed. So there is, on that particular site plan, they're proposing an area for outdoor storage, seasonal garden sales, for instance, and that's in the, as you come up the driveway to the right where I think people who are residents of Shelton would be very familiar with that. Is now where all of the outdoor plantings are stacked because that's adjacent to their existing garden center. And then they also have on the right side of the building and on the left side of the building marked where trailers would be positioned, and that would be for seasonal storage, which has very clearly defined and explained in the letter. But the fact is the applicant present. Okay, come on up to the podium and identify yourself.
Hi, I'm Rachel Ford. I'm the store manager for Walmart at 465 Bridgeport Avenue.
So is there anything in addition to what was stated in the letter that you'd like to share?
Nothing in addition. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Mr. Rebecca, do you have any comments on this particular application?
Just briefly, in the past couple of years, they've put in for continuous temporary permits. That's not something we'd like to do.
Okay, well, you know what, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I overlooked the fact that first of all, we were supposed to do a motion to accept for review. So can we get that out of the way? Is there a motion to accept for review?
So be it.
From Commissioner Kelly, is there a second? Second from Commissioner Amato. Quick roll call on that. Commissioner Kelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins?
Aye.
Commissioner Amato? Commissioner Usel?
Aye.
And chair votes aye, so the motion is to accept for review Passed 5-0. So go ahead, Mr. Bouvet.
We're just, instead of having a temporary certificate of compliance seasonally, this is just a permanent solution so that they don't have to continuously come in for their seasonal sales.
Okay. Mr. O'Neill, do you have anything to add to that?
No, it's just that this, like Alex said, this has been going on, for a long period of time, and this is just a better way to go about the situation and not have the temporary permit.
Okay. And even though it goes to a permanent kind of status, this is something that staff would monitor anyways. It's not like we're going to walk away from it at that point and just leave it up to the applicant to monitor the situation. So, do any of the commissioners that are participating remotely have any comments, questions, or concerns?
I would just pose a question to Tony Panico if he feels the amount of parking that's being removed is reasonable and will not create any issues. I know Walmart, which is why they're wanting to put these storage trailers in, does a very busy business, especially during the holidays. So there's not much other place for people to park except that parking lot. So as long as he's comfortable with the amount of parking being removed, I'm okay.
Yes, we did discuss that. We did discuss that, and I don't know which commissioners were on the board way back when we first approved this, but at the time it was originally approved, the commission felt that the parking was excessive, and we mentioned to Walmart that perhaps they should consider reducing the amount of parking, and they assured us that no, they had higher standards and they wanted to put the excess parking. So as far as compliance with zoning, it more than complies, and the loss of these queue spaces will not violate the zoning requirements.
Thank you for that clarification.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, now, Commissioner Usel, do you have any comments, questions, or concerns?
No, not at this time.
Okay. And just a reference, Mr. Panico's comment as to he didn't know who on the commission might have been on the commission at the time, but this predates my start in 2005, I think. Even who resigned and left our commission back in May might have been the holdout if he was still here. But I think Mr. Peguero was the chair when this particular retailer proposed coming to Shelton. So,
I have a question though. Is there any stated restriction on the area that this covers, or how it's contained, fencing? Is there anything in what we're approving that would stipulate how this would look or should look?
Okay, Mr. Panico, can you address Commissioner Amato?
The question was about what is it going to look like?
So,
if I understood the question?
Yeah, and Mr. Rossetti has some comments, I believe, he'd like to share.
Commissioner Amato, the trailers are trailers that are already contained. And then as for the garden products, they're on pallets and wrapped up. So they're all bagged. It's not a loose fill that can spread out. And the trailers, they're already closed. There really isn't anything that can spread. But again, this has been going on for years. We're just trying to have it right.
I think that's where to go, just in terms of authority to regulate what's currently going on.
Yeah, I mean, they've indicated the parking spaces that that's where it's going to be. And,
yeah, the letter does define the areas to be used for the outdoor lawn and garden summer storage would be April 15th until the 15th of July. And the areas for the storage trailers for the holiday season would be October 1st through December 31st. So as long as the applicant adheres to those particular timeframes, there are, I think, some storage trailers out to the left of the building towards the rear right now.
No, there are no trailers.
There aren't any, but have there been in the past?
We've only used them there as a facility, during the holiday time.
Okay.
That's the only time.
Right. Okay. I definitely remember the applicant coming in for the lawn and garden, but I off the top of my head, I just don't recall the other part for the holiday, but that could be the case. So, all right, any other, Commissioner Kelly? Go ahead, Commissioner Parkins.
Madam Chair, I still have a question. On one of the drawings, I think it's labeled number 1, where they have the seasonal garden center sales taking up some parking, and adjacent to that is where they're planning on putting in the seasonal event. Do they expect people to walk across that roadway to pay for things? I'm not understanding what the sales means.
The letter does say the area would be used to house bags, lawn and garden goods, and they'll place plant racks that will be used to house the plants. The customers would then be directed into the store to make these purchases either through the lawn and garden area or the front registers. I think they have blocked it off in the past too, so you can't get cars going through these lanes.
The lanes are restricted to.
There's a little box that says seasonal garden center sales. 48 parking spaces lost.
That applies, I believe, to both of those crosshatched areas.
So will they be
Yes, it
doing?
does. And if you look in that little box that Commissioner Parkins referred to, it says April 15th to July 15th. And during those 3 months, that, as they have done for a number of years, that is where they'll stage all their plantings. And I think on the racks also are placed on the sidewalk on the side of the existing garden center that faces those parking spaces. And people remove what they want and they bring it into the garden center to finalize their purchases.
My question is, those two hatched areas appear to be separated by a driveway heading into the back of the building.
Yes, go ahead, and the manager wants to make a comment.
Yeah, I did hear that question. So that is the drive lane to load up the bag goods section. So all the way to the far right is the bag goods where the mulch and the dirt would be, and the customers drive in there to be able to pick up their bag goods.
I see.
It's only bag goods on both sides, directly across, and then the plants that you're referring to, the live plants that we put out, are in the middle there. So it's not like customers are actually shopping in the bag goods section or driving through to get loaded.
Okay, so those lanes are left open so a vehicle could drive through so that they can be loaded. Okay. So that's in the case that's been a setup for a while.
Yeah, that was the setup we use every single year.
All right, you haven't had anybody run over?
No, never.
Well, and that was my concern, that they were going there. So it's just a pickup area, is that correct? It's not, nobody goes there to buy anything,
That's
to pay
correct.
for it. It's just a pickup area. Okay.
Do you have samples of what that could be picked up inside the garden center, or?
At the register at the garden center and at the register at the front of the store, we have photo sheets available.
Oh, okay.
For the customer just to say what they want, and we bring them up there, and then they go out to get loaded.
All right. Okay. You're good. Commissioner Utah, do you have any comments, questions, or concerns?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Motto has weighed in. Commissioner Kelly, how about you? Okay. Commissioner Motto, have your concerns been addressed?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone that would, unless there is any further, is there anyone that would like to make a motion to approve this particular application?
No, but the motion to.
Okay, Commissioner Kelly has made the motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Mata. Okay. Sorry, Commissioner Utah. That delay is gonna get you. Okay, so, Commissioner, Parkins, motion
Aye.
approved, what's your vote?
Aye.
Commissioner Usel?
Aye.
Commissioner Mato? Commissioner Kelly?
Right.
And the chair votes aye, motion is passed 5-0, so your motion for a permanent certificate has been approved. Good luck, and staff will be monitoring it, so thank you for all your, time.
Thank you.
Sit here and listen to us. All right, next on the agenda, under other business, our comments from the chair and subcommittee. I have nothing to share or particularly note at this time. How about Commissioner Miles? Anything that you'd like to share with zoning? Okay. And Commissioner Kelly?
Yeah, the commissioners, had a walkthrough on phase one.
Use your mic.
Oh,
Pick it up.
commissioners had a walkthrough of phase one of Cedar Village in Carroll's, the other day. Very, very nice, very promising. It was also orchestrated by, Ken Nappy, our downtown chairman.
Okay, just to stand on that, the commissioners that were there when I was present were Commissioners Kelly, Parkins, and Mato. Commissioner Hickey did join us later on. The one thing I can recall is specifically Commissioner Parkins in one of the apartments with the rest of us saying, it's so quiet, you can't hear street noise. And that's because that particular developer had taken great pains to do insulation that was really eliminated the noise. So the finishes that he did were done very well. The layout and of the apartments, I thought, were fine. So I don't know if any other commissioner wants to weigh in on their impressions of the walkthrough. No? Okay. So other business agenda item next is staff comments. Mr. Rossetti, do you have anything? Okay, Mr. O'Neill. Mr. Nappy is not in the room, so we'll pass. Mr. Piano, how about yourself? Do you have any comments?
No, nothing at this time, Madam Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to approval of minutes. There are some corrections to the May 12th, 20th, and 27th special meeting minutes on all of them. In the list of attendees, the identification for Mr. Kelly has to be noted as vice chair. And on the minutes for May 20th, Commissioner Wadowski should be noted as being absent. Commissioner Usal was excused. And the difference between the two is the Commissioner notifies myself or staff that they are not available due to work commitment or some other conflict. I have indicated to the Secretary that they should be identified as being excused, but when I do not hear from a Commissioner before a meeting that they are that they are not available, they will not be participating, then I consider that to be an absence for sure. So, does any Commissioner have any other? And along the way as well, on page 2 of the minutes for May 12th, we have to continue along the way as to making sure that Commissioner Kelly is noted as being the vice chair. And that's in section B, right above side heading Roman numeral 5. And also the heading on the minutes for May 12th have to be noted as special meeting minutes, not regular minutes. All of our meetings since we started to reconvene due to the pandemic are all special meetings because they do not follow the schedule filed with the town clerk last year as being on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m., second Tuesday night of the month. Any other commissioner have any corrections to these minutes?
Madam Chair, just on the 12 minutes, although I was not there, right above, section 5, it does state that, there was a caucus for Ruth Parkins to be seated as vice chair. That needs to be corrected.
That's the one that I was referring to a moment ago. Okay. Would correct it. Okay, there is no other, go ahead.
Yeah, under application 4303 on that same page, Brian Vassar identified himself on behalf of CX Pharmacy. So I'm just a little confused. Is that the CX Plaza or is that CVS Pharmacy?
That should have been the CX Plaza. 110 Commerce Drive is CX Plaza. So
Yes.
Thank you for picking that up.
No other comment.
Okay. All right, if there are no other corrections to the minutes, is there a motion from a commissioner to approve May 20th, 12th, 20th, and 27th special meeting minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, the motion is approved from a Commissioner Kelly. Is there a second? Is there a second to the motion to approve these 3 minutes?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion to second from Commissioner Amato. On the roll call, Commissioner Kelly?
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins?
I, with the exception of May 12th, I will abstain. I was not present.
Okay. And also Commissioner Amato? Commissioner Musso?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So for the May 12th special meeting minutes, the vote would be 4-0 with 1 abstention. For the May 20th and 27th special meeting minutes, the vote would be 5-0 for approval. And just a note to the commissioners that the 4 June meeting minutes that are listed under subsection D will be on the August 19th agenda for approval, and the 4 July special meeting minutes will be on the August 26th agenda for approval. So I would appreciate everyone becoming familiar with them so that we can move those particular minutes at those two meetings. There being no other further agenda items, is there a motion to adjourn?
So be it.
Motion to adjourn from Commissioner Kelly. Is there a second? Second from Commissioner Amato. Roll call. Commissioner Amato? Aye. Commissioner Musso?
Aye.
Commissioner Parkins?
Aye.
Commissioner Kelly?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Motion passes 5-0. And our meeting today is adjourned as of 12:25 p.m. Thank you.
Thanks.